Tears filled the girl's eyes. After waiting 3 long years, her boyfriend had told her that he was already married when they first met. She couldn't understand why he was being so heartless. Just as she was about to ask him about it, she suddenly noticed a blank look in his eyes. She reached out instinctively, but he was completely unresponsive.
지금 울고 있어. 눈물 안 보여?
Even after 20 years, this movie is still hailed as the pinnacle of pure romance. Countless people have cried their eyes out because of it. In an era dominated by fast-paced love, let's take our time to savor a story told through letters, where journeys were long, and one could love only one person in a lifetime. The story begins with an old box in front of a young woman. The yellowed paper and neat handwriting tell of a long past history. Guided by an old, faded photograph, her mother's long-buried memories slowly unfold. It was a summer many years ago. A young man, Jun-ho, first met the girl, Ju-hee, in a field. With just one glance, he fell for the vibrant, youthful girl. Ju-hee, a wealthy heiress, was full of curiosity about everything in the countryside. She approached Jun-ho, asking him to take her to the haunted house across the river. Faced with Ju-hee's sudden request, Jun-ho stayed calm on the outside, but the smile on his face gave him away. One morning, Jun-ho arrived early by the river to wait. As the boat slowly crossed to the other side, the gears of love began to turn. The haunted house adventure was both thrilling and fun. They laughed and screamed together, sharing a joy that belonged only to them. As they headed back to town, fate intervened. A sudden summer rain washed away the boat they had come on, giving them more time together. The rain made the roads extra slippery. Ju-hee's playful twist of her ankle brought them even closer. Jun-ho carried her to a hut to take shelter from the rain. Seeing Ju-hee shivering from the cold, he wrung out his clothes and gave them to her to dry off. Their eyes, filled with unspoken affection, met deeply. Their hearts, though silent, were already connected. After the rain stopped, they enjoyed a stolen watermelon together. A gentle breeze passed by, so peaceful. A beautiful rainbow, like a colorful bridge, stretched across the post-rain sky. Perhaps the most beautiful thing isn't the rainy day, but the roof they sheltered under together from the rain. To return to the dock, Jun-ho carried the bamboo mat and followed the river path. Under the night sky filled with stars, they talked and laughed together, like a couple deeply in love, enjoying this rare romantic moment. As they reached the wooden bridge, a sky full of fireflies lit up the lake's surface, turning it into a beautiful painting. Seeing Ju-hee's radiant smile, Jun-ho was deeply moved. He waded into the river and caught a faintly glowing firefly, placing it in her palm. In that moment, it felt like their young love was being lit. But beautiful moments never last. As she looked toward the brightly lit shore, Ju-hee didn't know if they would ever meet again. So she took off her necklace and placed it on Jun-ho. Back at the dock, watching Ju-hee walk away, Jun-ho's eyes were filled with reluctance. But a harsh slap from Ju-hee's grandfather brought him back to reality. The difference in their social status shattered Jun-ho's dreams. After the summer break, Jun-ho returned to school, but couldn't stop thinking about Ju-hee. He kept touching the necklace on his neck, and a charming smile appeared on his face. At school, Jun-ho had a side job writing letters for others. His friend Tae-soo approached him after finding out, asking Jun-ho to write a letter to his fiancée. But when Tae-soo showed him her photo, Jun-ho was stunned by the familiar, gentle face. Tae-soo's fiancée was the very same Ju-hee he had longed for. Tae-soo came from a wealthy family, and so did Ju-hee. Their upper-class status made Jun-ho feel deeply inadequate. Suppressing his jealousy, he began writing letters to Ju-hee on Tae-soo's behalf, pouring out his own feelings. At a musical recital later on, Junho finally saw Joo-hee again after months apart. The moment his beloved stepped on stage, he stood up uncontrollably. He desperately hoped she would see him right away. But the troubled Joo-hee didn't notice him at all. She slowly walked to the piano, and under the beautiful melody hid her silent sorrow. After the performance, Junho stood with flowers in his hands, and their eyes finally met. Joo-hee's hands trembled slightly, and she gave a gentle smile. But she was forced to leave amidst the crowd. Junho watched her distant figure walk away, realizing the insurmountable distance between them. Lonely, Junho sat on a bench, and when he looked up, he saw the girl running toward him. He ran toward Joo-hee. Both of them were gasping for breath. Though many words could be said, everything was conveyed through a shared smile. Junho handed her the flowers in his hand, and nervously babbled incoherent words. But Joo-hee understood his feelings. For the first time, their excited hearts were so close together. Even though they knew they liked each other, due to their social status, they had to bury it deep inside. Perhaps it was fate from the beginning. Through Tae-soo's introduction, Junho met Joo-hee again in dance class. Due to Tae-soo and Joo-hee's special relationship, they could only pretend not to know each other. During class, they exchanged glances, quietly expressing their longing. Perhaps only in dance class. Could they freely release their hidden affection? After the dance ended, both Junho and Joo-hee seemed downcast, because after fleeting happiness, separation was inevitable. Watching Joo-hee's back as she walked away, Junho's eyes were filled with reluctance. Joo-hee returned home disappointed, hesitating at the door without entering, because the one who brought her back wasn't Junho. At that moment, the street lamp by the gate flickered, and when the light came back on, Junho's silly smiling face appeared. At that moment, Joo-hee could no longer hold back her emotions. She threw down her bag and ran toward Junho. The two hugged each other tightly, enjoying the happiness that belonged only to them. Yet happiness is always fleeting. Not long after the dance party, Tae-soo confessed his feelings to Joo-hee. The sudden confession filled Joo-hee's heart with torment. She not only had to face her beloved Junho, but also her fiancé Tae-soo. After a struggle in her mind, Joo-hee ultimately chose to break up with Junho. From that day on, she kept her word. She avoided Junho at all costs. Even when Junho pressed the streetlight in front of her house again and again, she only hid behind the window, crying silently. But someone as persistent as Junho wouldn't give up so easily. The heavy rain soaked every inch of his clothes, but it still couldn't extinguish the fire in his heart. He pulled Joo-hee towards him, wanting to talk things out properly. In the pouring rain, he couldn't tell if the drops on her face were rain or tears. Joo-hee shook off Junho's hand and walked away. He stood there in despair, as if mourning the death of his love. But when Junho turned around, he saw Joo-hee returning in tears. They embraced tightly in the rain, their determined eyes ready to face the injustice of fate. In order to be with Joo-hee openly, Junho decided to confess everything to Tae-soo. He was even ready to be beaten by his friend. But to his surprise, Tae-soo already knew everything, because the necklace Joo-hee gave to Junho was actually the engagement gift Tae-soo's father gave her. In this love triangle, Tae-soo chose to step aside for the sake of his friend. He even asked Junho to continue writing letters to Joo-hee under his name, so their relationship wouldn't be discovered by their parents. But good things don't last. When one of the letters was returned to Tae-soo's house, the secret among the three was completely exposed. Tae-soo's father became furious and harshly scolded him. Perhaps due to years of his father's oppression, Tae-soo decided to end his life by hanging himself after leaving a letter. Fortunately, Junho found him in time and saved his life. In the hospital, seeing his friend in such a state because of him, Junho was filled with guilt. His presence put Joo-hee in a difficult position and caused Tae-soo deep pain. Junho realized he couldn't continue being so selfish. Those who are truly in pain often hide their tears behind a smiling face. After leaving the necklace that symbolized their love, he disappeared from Joo-hee's world. For a long time after that, Joo-hee heard nothing from Junha, until the war broke out, and by chance she met Tae-soo and learned of Junho's whereabouts. She rushed to the train station, searching for her lover among the crowd at the platform. And finally, she spotted Junho dressed in a soldier's uniform. Seeing Joo-hee's eyes red from crying, Junho turned his head away with determination. He didn't want to bring Joo-hee any more hope or pain. But the moment the train started to leave, Junho could no longer suppress his emotions. He ran madly toward the train door, wanting to see his beloved one last time. Joo-hee desperately chased the train, handing Junha the necklace that symbolized their love. They both knew this parting would be forever. Parting can weaken shallow feelings, but it can also deepen true love. Just as the wind can blow out a candle, but will only fan a fire brighter.
꼭 살아서 와야 돼! 꼭 살아서 와야 돼!
Looking at the necklace, Junho made a firm decision. If he could return safely, no matter the hardships ahead, he would never again let down the one he truly loved. But fate played a cruel trick. In the midst of a battle, his unit was repeatedly pushed back. Junho could have retreated safely, but suddenly realized the necklace had fallen. Without hesitation, he charged back into the crossfire. He managed to retrieve the necklace, but lost his eyesight in the process. In the blink of an eye, many years passed. Time had left its mark on Joo-hee's face. Seeing her beloved return safely, Joo-hee wept tears of joy. All these years, she had refused to marry anyone else. Her heart had always waited only for Junho. But Junho claimed that he had long been married. Upon hearing this, Joo-hee could no longer hold back her tears. To ease the mood, Junho turned his gaze to the nearby table. He remarked how beautiful the piano figurine was. Every time he saw it, it reminded him of Joo-hee playing the piano. Joo-hee followed his gaze, but the table was completely empty. The piano figurine was actually in the hands of a child behind Junho. Only then did Joo-hee realize that Junho had lost his sight.
왜 숨겼어? 앞을 못 본다는 거.
His facade was seen through by Joo-hee, and Junho instantly became nervous. Panicking, he stood up and tried to leave, but had forgotten the way he came.
미안해. 거의 완벽했네. 해낼 수 있었는데 어젯밤에 미리 와서
거의 속을 뻔했어. 정말 속을 뻔했어.
With trembling hands, Junho took out the necklace, wanting to return it. But Joo-hee did not accept it. She gently placed the necklace back on Junho, because it held the most beautiful memories they had shared, and it bore witness to their once pure and sincere love. Not long after, under pressure from her parents, Joo-hee ended up marrying Tae-soo. But the tears flowing in her wedding photo made her true feelings clear. Those tears were not just filled with sorrow and regret, but were also a sea of memories filled with countless emotions. They carried longing for the beautiful times of the past, and sorrow for a love left unfulfilled. Years later, Joo-hee would often take her young daughter to the riverside, where they were once imprisoned by love. As she reminisced about the past, someone approaching from behind interrupted her thoughts. It turned out to be Junho's comrade passing through the area, holding Junho's ashes in his hands. Joo-hee felt as if her heart had been seized. That farewell at the cafe had been their final goodbye in this life. It is only now that she realizes that Junho had lied about being married because he was afraid of becoming a burden to her due to his blindness. He lied about being married. He had hoped this would make her give up on him. It was only after Joo-hee married Tae-soo that Junho hastily started a family of his own. Hearing this, Joo-hee was overcome with sobs. Now that they were worlds apart, there was no chance for closure. Only the rainbow behind her resembled the moment they first met. Junho's ashes were scattered in the river where they had once fallen in love, as per his wish, as if this could finally soothe the regrets of the past. Time passed swiftly. 20 years went by. Her daughter, Ji-hye, had grown into a young woman. With tears in her eyes, she finished reading her mother's letter and couldn't help but lament fate's cruelty, because her own experiences were strikingly similar to her mother's. It turned out Ji-hye's best friend had fallen for a boy named Sang-min, but Ji-hye herself had unknowingly developed feelings for him too. Her friend asked her to write a love letter to Sang-min on her behalf, so Ji-hye poured all her own feelings into the letter. Touched by the letter, Sang-min naturally started dating her friend, and Ji-hye could only keep her heartbreak to herself. Until one day, as Ji-hye was sheltering under a tree from the rain, Sang-min ran up to her. It was the first time they were alone together. Their closeness made Ji-hye's heart race. They ran through the rain under his jacket, though they were soaked from head to toe. But Ji-hye's heart was filled with happiness. Back in the dorm, she watched Sang-min walk away. Her heart, full of admiration, remained restless. During another heavy rain, Jae-hee accidentally found out that Sang-min shielding her from the rain wasn't a coincidence, but a carefully planned encounter. He had deliberately put down his umbrella. Learning that her crush liked her back, Ji-hye's heart surged with emotion. So she grabbed the umbrella Sang-min had left and ran into the pouring rain. This time she didn't hesitate. She bravely stood before Sang-min and confessed her feelings.
우산 있는데 비를 맞는 사람 어디 저 하나뿐이에요.
가지마.
시간은 너를 데려가고 남은 건 빈자리뿐인데 내 마음은 아직 그날에 멈춰 있어. 안녕 그날의 너 마지막까지 예뻤던 너 붙잡고 싶었지만 이미 멀어진 뒤.
After confessing their feelings, the two began a sweet relationship. Later, Ji-hye took Sang-min to the river that carried her mother's love story. There, she shared her mother's story with him. At that moment, Sang-min's tears fell freely. He slowly took off the necklace his father had left him and gave it to Ji-hye. There's a plot twist here. It turns out Sang-min is Junho's son. Everything seems to be destined for them. Night fell. Countless fireflies surrounded them, just like when Joo-hee and Junho were together. Perhaps the fireflies had traveled through time to fulfill their mission. And so, this love story spanning 2 generations found its closure. The most beautiful thing in this world is to love someone who loves you back. As always, I mentioned, the original film contains many heartwarming details, so make sure you watch it. The title is The Classic, that was released in 2003. See you in my next video.